Okay folks, I just want to let you guys know is the fact that this will be the last uploading schedule I'll do from now on in terms of this game. Because of this, I will be definitely going back onto Donkey Kong Jungle Beat until at some point in next Monday, so I want to let you guys know this. Hey, what is up ladies and gentlemen, I am Duffy Duck here once again and I'm back for some more yet again for the likes of the Maxi Toys videos. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back for some more of Let's Play of Team Sonic Racing for the PlayStation 4, Xbox One, PC, Steam, and of course the Nintendo Switch. So last time we have managed to able to wrap things up completely in terms of Chapter 3 and all the other jazz. Although despite the fact that we have managed to able to go through some bit of struggling points worth noting for, specifically in Daredevil challenges as well as survival race in Frozen Junkyard, just because somehow for whatever reason my teammate decides to go, well, a little bit backwards. And also we've managed to able to only did one challenge in Chapter 4, so today for this episode is the fact that we might as well able to actually continue things on in Chapter 4, even though I just want to point it out right away, I'm probably not gonna continue the rest, or not gonna complete every single challenges in this particular chapter, or the challenges I should say, but definitely until whenever we get to November, then I should probably come back onto that at some form or another. So anyways, let's go ahead and then select the team race that we're going back onto Bingo Party, so by selecting Rouge.
I'm detecting some strange telemetric signals coming from Dodonpa.
What are telemetrics?
It's all our racing information, especially information about our teamwork. Dodonpa's been broadcasting it out after each race to an unknown receiver.
Who wants to bet the receiver is Eggman?
It's getting harder and harder not to tell that Tanuki to take a hike and bail on this race.
Easy there, big guy. You don't want to blow a gasket.
Right now, I kinda do.
Sadly folks, if for those of you probably wondering that there was a first jump cut by the way, because for love of Christ, the computer's AI is super overpowered. Well, not so much in terms of the forms of the original game and the second game, in terms of Sumo Digital Sonic racing games for sure, but jeez Louise man, I just keep on getting myself wrecked by most other players, which as a result, that could be a little bit of a, excuse me, that could be a little bit of a problematic I feel like, because most of the time, I was swear I was gonna able to win something, but most of the time I keep on getting wrecked by items usage, and also same applies to my teammates doesn't usually help me very well. So even then, hopefully for the better luck this time, then we should be able to actually just to consider to try to able to accomplish certain things. So either way though, because chances are there's gonna be a lot of times when this happens. So anyway, yeah, obviously today's day is here, of course, today's day is the May the 15th today, in this case in 2020. So in this case, we've only got about 2 more weeks left until the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition will about to be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. So I'm really looking forward to that though, especially noticeable how the fact that, well, you know, as you guys should probably already know, that I'm really looking forward to able to actually play the game proper this time around though, rather than just only touch it just once and then never touch it again kind of syndrome, just because I feel like that the C-stick knob on the new 3DSs can be a little bit too tricky to able to control it. But thankfully the Nintendo Switch does manage to able to give us a better opportunities to utilize with the right analog stick and stuff like that for the camera control and stuff like that. So even then though, I'm really happy about that specific decision. So plus, as far as I've noticed, the fact that unlike the Wii version, that the price is so ridiculously high, so as a result, I'm probably not going to get the Wii version, honestly, just because, well, obviously because of the pricing, and also same applies to that, well, although there's a multitude of control types you can able to use, I'm not exactly sure you can able to utilize the GameCube controller, but either way though, I'm not able to find out until whenever I research on stuff. So either way though, enough about that. So Anywho though, and yes, I did manage to able to suggest by this point is the fact that yes, I did manage to finally get my chance to experience my first impressions on Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020. So as a result, what's my first impressions of that specific game, if you're probably wondering? Well, it kind of plays exactly like how it did in Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, except the noticeable difference being that there aren't any Mario characters involved. Second of all is the fact that they did manage to able to have in some sort of like those kind of events that we've never actually come across into since Mario and Sonic's version of the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 for the Switch. That those events are obviously hammer throw, and especially noticeable for diving, and especially noticeable with I'm not sure what events they actually include in Sonic and at the Tokyo 2020 Olympic Games, but I do notice the fact that they actually include 400-meter hurdles and 200 meters, if I'm presuming correctly, and also say applies to shooting, and I think that's as far as I can think of. There are some parts, oh yeah, trampoline as well, and as a result, and also BMX as well, so even then I'm very curious to able to actually try out these new events and all that stuff. And thankfully though, they did manage to able to fix that specific internet connection issues when the actual thing was first launched, and thankfully though they did manage to fix that, so even then though, and I'll talk more about details about this and during forms of likely in I would say in a Grand Prix challenge or something like that, because for now we have managed to able to accomplish in terms of this particular team race, as you can see here.
Why does everybody think that Mr. Paw is telling our secrets to Eggman?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because they're both evil, conniving super scientists with funny mustaches?
I have a funny mustache. Does that make me evil?
Really, Big? Do you really have to say things like that? I don't know. I'm just a little bit too nitpicking right there, so... Anyway, so now we got ourselves 3 stars, plus a key as well, so I think we should now probably move on to, you know what, let's do some more Egg Pond Assault, why not? So either way though, that way we can able to, you know, just trying to get some more stars along the way, and let's use E123 Omega.
I think the Tanuki is nice.
Big, you're driving me crazy with this stuff. The guy is clearly in cahoots with Eggman.
Mr. Paw works with wisps, and wisps only like nice people.
I hadn't thought about that, but Big's right. Those wisps are working with Dodonpaw. Maybe he is a good guy.
Wait, I'm right?
And of course we're going back onto Frozen Junkyard once again, so even though it's time to kick some, you know, Egg Pond's butt. So either way though. And I suppose another thing I should probably mention about this also is the fact that this is also another reason why that I mentioned this before since the very beginning of this video, is the fact that I just want to able to actually just to classify for something to take a break on this game after we're done through several tasks at hand, and so whenever we get on to November, this is probably because if I was gonna able to do a lot of editing stuff I have to do, specifically trying to able to pull off some more jump cuts in successful attempts on these certain challenges, and also cutscenes with some sort of a good volume, so that way you can able to hear any single dialogue and stuff like that. But chances are though, at the same time, is that my program decides to go ahead and crash on me all of a sudden, which as a result, it always happens a lot every time whenever I was doing a lot of editing stuff, like, you know, specifically for cutscene cinematics, and also same applies to the best attempts or failure attempts or something like that to cut out for, and especially noticeable for basically pretty much everything as to be expected. So as a result, yeah, this is the perfect example of why that I just feel like the editing stuff can get a little bit tedious at points, especially noticeable how the fact that if we somehow almost nearly done with certain Let's Plays in mind, then otherwise though, it'll just take a lot of work. Even especially noticeable if you really want to go for longer RPGs or anything like that, so either way though, that kind of feels like it's all relevant and all that stuff. So even then, oh geez, we almost had the actual platinum medal already. But either way though, despite the fact that this might actually be one of those moments that we might able to get ourselves a glorious platinum medal. And also, same applies to that, well, 2 stars obviously, so kudos to that I suppose. So either way though, that's want to classify for something for that another brief update I just want to point it out. So either way though, because chances are I'm just getting really, well, sweaty at points, because if I was struggling to do some editing stuff, oh man, it's just a lot of busy work.
Eggman's a pretty crummy racer. If he's cheating, he's pretty bad at it.
But if he's trying to lose, he's really good at it.
Okay, so now we've gone for all that, so I believe we're about to be moving on now to the next challenge, which I probably should save this one for later, because for now, I think I'm also able to do the next one, which appears to be down here, which either way we are going back onto. Although, to be fair, I would like to be able to show off the new stage, but unfortunately, for the sake of time, as I said before, I'm probably not going to come back onto this until at some point in November, after finishing a lot of Let's Plays to deal with.
I'm detecting some strange telemetric signals coming from Dodonpa.
What are telemetrics?
It's all our racing information, especially information about our teamwork. Dodonpa's been broadcasting it out after each race to an unknown receiver.
Who wants to bet the receiver is Eggman?
It's getting harder and harder not to tell that Tanuki to take a hike and bail on this race.
Easy there, big guy. You don't want to blow a gasket.
Right now, I kinda do.
Okay, so now let's head on back to Ice Mountain, except now that everything else will be completely mirrored. So, yeah, one thing I should probably point it out right away though is the fact that yes, every time whenever you select, it doesn't matter what character you're going to be selecting, either Sonic, you always have to be team up with Team Sonic and stuff like that, and if you are Shadow or something like that, then you'll be forced to able to team up with Team Dark and stuff. And also, if you become Amy, or if you play as Amy Rose, then you're forced to able to team up with, you know, Team Rose, and etc, etc. So even then, and vice versa though, really. So, anyways, let's get ourselves our glorious boost start. Oh my god, I actually felt quite a good HD rumble, because yes, I'm now finally going to be able to play this with the Pro Controller this time around, which I will say, using the Pro Controller does feel very natural for this point, because not only does it give me the opportunity to be able to notice something like the HD Rumble feature and stuff, but it's also the fact that it makes things a heck of a lot more easier by simply able to notice something like specifically, you know, just trying to accelerate and stuff like that, a heck of a lot more easier. So even now, I don't have to worry about with my GameCube controller sometimes, because most of the time my fingers are in a pain during the forms of in the past few days or something. So again, it's just a little bit of a tiny nitpicking I don't know what I should truly say in this point right now, because either way, it has been, you know, couple of days since I actually managed to discuss on things, even though that recently yesterday that Piglet has now finally managed to finish up with his Let's Play of Super Monkey Ball Jr. Sure, it does take a really long while until he managed to able to finish that game completely, just because all he does is he just finish up with experts and stuff like that, despite he almost give up on well, I would say he pretty much almost gonna give up on during floor 30, the final floor, in terms of expert difficulty, and also he did show off expert extra and stuff like that, and finally master stages, which fundamentally speaking though, because of the handheld's limitations, they actually put it in like lesser amount of levels compared to 10 than the ones of how it used to be from the likes of both Super Monkey Ball 1 and Super Monkey Ball 2. And if you want to count 20, if you play Super Monkey Ball Deluxe, then by all means you can able to also count that as well. Although, despite the fact that, well, usually the Super Monkey Ball Jr. was a Nintendo exclusive game on the Game Boy Advance. So yeah, you get the idea for that little solutions for that specific knowledge notice. So, but I digress. So anyways, let's go ahead and pull off some more tricks here. Ah, someone stole my item. Dang you, Jade Ghost Wisp. Yeah, I don't know if I actually mentioned about this, but I'm pretty sure that I've seemed to notice, but even though it has been a very long time since I actually mentioned about this kinds of stuff, I have to be honest here. So yeah, basically what the Jade Ghost can really do is the fact that I'm presuming they're trying to able to steal the items from you. So, you know, think of like the boos from the Mario Kart games basically, likely Mario Kart 64, and I believe Super Circuit as well, and Mario Kart DS, and of course Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So even though I just fell off for like no reason whatsoever. Oh jeez, what am I doing? What the heck am I doing? Especially noticeable if I was trying to be a little bit cautious when it comes to able to try to pull off some stuff like this, but most of the time I just keep on screwing up, but I digress. But hopefully it will be not as noticeable until whenever we get on to the later racers or later races. During the forms of it, likely as I said before, I'm not going to go back onto this until at some point in November, to be honest for this point, just because I seriously need to get a little bit more practice. Well, thankfully I can able to practice the majority of this game on the PlayStation 4 version, so that way I can able to not only practice certain challenges and stuff, but also trying to practice the you know, some tricks, and also at the same time, I can easily manage to get myself some more PSN trophies every once in a while, so that way I could able to, you know, get some experiences and potentials and stuff. So even though that's all I can really say about this here. So either way though, that way we can able to actually just to guarantee to get ourselves even more credits, and oh, alright, we did manage to win by 2 points. Seriously, it's kind of like the same thing for the likes of Mario Party 9 for 2 cap.
Why does everybody think that Mr. Paw is telling our secrets to Eggman?
Oh, I don't know. Maybe because they're both evil, conniving super scientists with funny mustaches?
I have a funny mustache. Does that make me evil?
Okay, now we're done with all that, even though sadly we didn't get the key, but that's fine, because even then though, who needs that anyway? So, now let's go ahead and move on to, I would probably do one more for the sake of this video, and that will have to be by the forms of, what else? The Team Grand Prix itself. So even then though, let's just get this thing started, and whilst this has been done, I think I should probably take a break on this game, and well, you know, you get the idea, so let's go ahead and select the ultimate life form.
Why am I not doing better? Is it me? No, of course not. There must be something wrong with this car I'm driving.
Typical. The creator always blames his creations.
I believe I told you to zip it, Orbot! Fortunately, I know how to create an even better racing car. Behold, the Formula M! With this vehicle, I can't lose! I should probably get around to creating better robot henchmen, too. What do you think, Orbot?
Can't respond. Zipping it.
Attaboy.
Alright, so to start this off, in terms of the Team Grand Prix itself, first off we're going to be driving on to Market Street, which we're about to be going back onto that specific familiar stage again, ever since last time we've ever experienced this stage was actually by the forms of one of the challenges, I would say in Chapter 3 if I remember correctly. So either way though, hopefully we would be able to actually succeed by this point, but either way though, this is all really depending on how the fact that how effortless the teamwork aspect, how it goes. So anyways, let's get to it. Alright, so hopefully we'll get ourselves a nice boost start from here, so we can expect we can able to actually just well, speed things along and what have you. So
Mind if I
Yeah, that's all I can say about it. And plus, another thing about this too is the fact that, in addition to I'm able to actually coming back onto Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, along with Tiana as well, in Journey Forms that exactly the same Let's Play, but in the both different versions throughout. Tiana will also definitely go back onto Kirby's Return to Dreamland at some point in next Tuesday. So, even though recently so far that Piglet has recently finished up with Super Monkey Ball Jr. Let's Play. So, even though you might be thinking to yourselves, that particular conversation gets a little bit repetitive every once in a while. Well, to be honest with you guys, there's not much else I can say apart from the fact that, well, I'll tell you one thing I should probably point things out right away, is the fact that, well, I've managed to able to somewhat enjoyed Sonic and old Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020 on the smartphones, but here's one little problem with that. You know how the fact that once you're done with the actual tutorials and stuff like that, in addition to trying to take on the forms of the next, the first boss or something, every once in a while the game likes to remind you that you have to purchase the actual access pass. That this allows you to able to actually access to 7 different areas enjoyed in Tokyo itself, and this is mandatory, by the way, if you really want to get your full experience of the game. Although it might actually contains the actual microtransactions and stuff like that, which I would say it might be something related to those I don't know, rings or red star rings or something like that. You know, just like the ones and how it does in Sonic Dash, and especially noticeable with Sonic Force's Speed Battle, and especially noticeable with just anything else in general, really. So, as a result of that kinds of stuff, though, is the fact that, wow, I was able to purchase the actual all-access pass that allows me to actually, you know, access to all the areas in Tokyo itself. But unfortunately, though, because I have some little bit of technical problems at the moment, so as a result, it looks like I can't be able to actually access that specific point from now on. So, it kind of sucks, though, because I've actually kind of enjoyed it for the most part, though, even though despite the fact that my quality of the game wasn't exactly all that high, was unlike in certain upgrade phones, that sure enough the graphics identity surely feels a little bit more crisper and stuff like that. Whilst in my downgraded phone, much like the forms of Mario Kart Tour, it does seem to have some little bit of a blurry images and stuff like that sometimes. But thankfully, unlike the ones in my Mario Kart Tour at the moment, that thankfully it does not give me a game crash in Journey Forms of each time whenever you go to the next event or something like that in Sonic at the Olympic Games Tokyo 2020, which I'm kind of heartily glad about that, because even then though, again, unlike in my Mario Kart Tour at the moment right now, in terms of to be more specifically, when I still managed to get myself my downgraded phone, and as a result, it always keeps on crashing every time you go on to the next race or something like that. Or even especially noticeable in terms of, to be more specifically, when they did manage to include the 3DS incarnation of Rainbow Road based off from Mario Kart 7. Jeez, it always crashes every single time whenever I go to the long race tracks, or even especially noticeable if I have managed to play through, I would say 3 races at a time or something like that, but either way though, it's just, it kind of feels like so inconsistent when that usually happens to me. So either way though, unfortunately though, Omega was actually in 5th place, so that's kind of underwhelming, but hey, at least we can still manage to catch up to the actual points value, so anyways, let's now head back on to Doctor's Mine. Even though, speaking of which actually, it's the fact that I don't suppose that particular Team Grand Prix do not feature the actual Rainbow, no, not so much Rainbow, but the mirrored version of the tracks themselves, because otherwise this is a very simple standard race tracks as you guys should already know. So either way though, let's go ahead and move on to, you know, Doctor's Mine. So hopefully we would be able to just speed along, and hopefully without even getting too much trouble, especially noticeable with in terms of trial and error and all that stuff, but hopefully though we're not gonna make it happen. So, but anywho though, aside from everything else though, I'd like to able to discuss upon things. To be honest with you guys, as I said this before, there's not much else I can talk about, because even then, that still the coronavirus thing is still problematic, and then it gets really stupid and worse as far as the actual things itself goes. And because of that though, I'm very not happy about the terms of likely whenever when the coronavirus thing is still continuing at this point, and as a result, it just gets, oh my god, it gets really boring whenever you go likely just do nothing. Well, at least luckily for me, I still get tons of games to play through, especially I recently managed to able to actually just to play through a bit on Donkey Kong Land 2, and recently I managed to able to complete that game, fully 100% and everything, but thankfully with a much more better, you know, battery life in terms of the forms of everything else for that resides, because whatever last time I had that game on 2018, that I somehow discovered about the fact that my save data battery compartment was actually dead. So that's kind of usually what you expect in terms of likely the most common issue in terms of the forms of likely, you know, whenever you get a used Game Boy game every now and then, because either way though, it just gets, well, to be honest with you, somewhat a little bit more stressful if you manage to able to come across into a fake copy of the game, or in this case a fake cartridge, or in this case whenever they include a dead battery in terms of the actual saving compartment. So yeah, as a result of that kind of stuff, it's always becomes a problematic, especially noticeable the most common issue, especially if you really want to purchase most of the Pokemon games and stuff like that back in the day, or even especially noticeable for the well, specifically Generation 3 ones, like the ones on the Game Boy Advance. Well, you can have to cope with the actual emphasis on best of luck kind of syndrome in terms of more accurately trying to able to hunt down you know, the proper better cartridge versions of that specific stuff alone. So yeah, I just want to classify that. So but anyways, looks like we're doing so far so good anyway, despite with you know, just keep on, you know, drifting along to the grass sometimes, even though it always like goes on to that specific moment where, oh yeah, by the way, if you managed to use the Team Ultimate move with Shadow, his theme was actually heavily borrowed from the likes of All Hail Shadow, which I think this might be something specifically the Crush 40 version, because I can definitely see why, that most people always prefer the Crush 40 version of that track, which I honestly agree, just because ever since in Sonic 06, actually retains the best soundtrack that we've ever heard in a Sonic game. Well, for some exceptions, like, I felt like the boss, some of the boss themes, they're kind of forgettable, but apart from those side of things though, I actually still really enjoy the majority of the soundtrack in Sonic the Hedgehog 2006. So, aside from all that stuff though, that's all I can say, things considering, so. Anywho, so, really? Omega was in 10th place, and Rouge was actually on 5th place. That's very underwhelming for that specific performance worth noting for. Oh jeez. It looks like we're going a little bit rougher at this point in time, but hopefully it'll get a little bit better until whenever we get on to the third track, of course. So either way though, speaking of the third track in this particular Grand Prix, next up is of course Sky Road, which even then we've already come across into that level before, ever since I would say in chapter 3 that we've last time been onto that specific stage, but this time around we're playing as Team Dark. So even then they'll, like, you know, take control of Shadow and the AI, with which there are obviously E123 Omega and also Rouge the Bat. So hopefully, without even giving me some trial and error, even last time whenever I got into this stage, or that track, sometimes I always get messed up on that specific hot air balloon jump, or that bounce, whatever you want to call it, because most of the time I always keep on driving off the edge, and then, as a result, it allows me to able to respawn whenever we get back onto the actual main track itself. So yeah, that's what I can say about it here. So, but again, not much else to say apart from the fact that, well, usually relatively speaking, hopefully we should be able to go back onto Donkey Kong Jungle Beat until likely on next Monday, which it will definitely be happening. Until likely in August, then we can move on to, or after we're done with Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, then we can move on to Donkey Kong Country 2. Diddy's Conquest, which I don't know if some toys else can able to do with that game, but I'm sure enough, until when it gets to the point it's on August, much like the first game, then otherwise though, we could able to do that. And as far as Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's I can't really say to this point, guys, because I know, again, it's been a couple of days since I actually done some commentary and stuff like that, unlike Piglet's done the majority of his commentary as well, beyond that. But, aside from all that stuff, though, what was I gonna say? As far as, Donkey Kong Country 3, Dixie Kong's Double Trouble, as far as doing that Let's Play, it will definitely be on exactly the same month as the previous two, but on the forms of 2021. So, because I just want to make things a little bit more of a chronological order in terms of the forms of the Donkey Kong Country series of Let's Plays, as far as you guys should already know. And as far as Donkey Kong Country Returns, I'm pretty sure at some time in 2022, and as far as Tropical Freeze is concerned, it will be on, well, 2023. So even then, though, that way, it should able to make things up, as long as if the YouTube stuff will be still alive, if that's how it's gonna be. So even then, though, speaking of YouTube, actually, ever since whenever it first ever debuted, back in 2005, since then we are now on 2020, oh yeah, YouTube will become 15 years old until when it gets to the point at some point into any forms of this year, which I don't know if it already happened or at some point whenever it gets to the future points of this year, but either way though, we'll see what happens there and during any forms of the future points during that specific time. So, but anyway though, but again, not much else to talk about sadly, but either way though, let's just go ahead and keep on get onto this little hot air balloon and stuff, and thankfully the actual momentum did manage to able to help me out this time, because unlike last time, seriously, I swear to god, this track can go a little bit longer as far as I was pointing things out right away, despite the fact that I'm not exactly sure if the actual class was actually decreasing it or something. Well, depending on what difficulty you choose, I don't know if it's probably just me, but I'm guessing probably if you select normal mode, it might actually become like 50cc or something, and then if you somehow go onto hard mode, it will be like, god knows, 100cc or something, or even in expert mode, it will actually give us 150cc or something, but then again, it has been quite a while since I actually did manage to play this game, and not only on the Switch version as the version I was playing through for the sake of the forms of the Let's Play channel and stuff like that, but also on the PlayStation 4 version so I can able to actually get a lot of practice on. Oh, really? Oh, okay. Whew. That was pretty close. Thankfully, though, if you somehow manage to use the Team Ultimate, as you can see, while the Ivory Lightning was actually start to come in, that way I can able to actually just to defend myself from there. You know, think of like how it does it if I'm using the Starman, for example, in the Mario Kart games, that if you somehow get strikes by the lightning when you become small and stuff, you can able to actually just use the actual Starman, so that way you can able to become invincibility this whole time, so that way you can able to actually defend yourself rather than just able to gain shrinked this whole time, so, or if in this case get stunned in this game specifically. So yeah, that's a welcoming hint as far as I just trying to show you guys about this. I'm sure most people seem to already done this before, so specifically whenever they managed to play through the online matches and stuff like that back in 2019, I should probably point things out right away as well, that it joined at exactly the same day as when the Xenoblade Chronicles Definitive Edition will be releasing on the Nintendo Switch. That will be exactly the same day as when this game will become a year old. So even then, to be expected by this point. So yeah, just to let you guys know with that specific dates in mind. So, and unfortunately though, Omega was once again in 5th place, so to be expected by this point. I don't know how long did this track were able to last for, but then again though, I'll probably should able to actually look it up back on the forms of the entire playlist on our Let's Play and stuff like that, but even then, no, not now though, because either way, we are now gonna be moving on to the final track in this Grand Prix, and that we are going back onto Roulette Road. So hopefully we would be able to actually experience that track in some sort of like a quicker time rather than just trying to deal with the forms of the most annoying challenges, which is of course Daredevil challenges, which I seriously can't stand those challenges, to be honest with you guys. I seriously still cannot. But anyways, but this time around, we're actually doing a full-fledged race this time around in terms of Roulette Road. Seriously, the visuals looks really gorgeous, even especially noticeable if some color palettes has been changed compared to the forms of how it does it in specifically in Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing and Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed. So, expecting as such, they have a lot of significant changes in terms of not only the lighting, but also the visuals for that too. But I digress. And as far as I've noticed, there aren't any springs around in this place, so even then now, unlike in the original Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, that does seem to have a lot of springs that you can able to actually just get a lot of bounce around on. So either way though, that's to be expected by this point. Oh yeah, every once in a while though, much like the forms of I would say in both Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, and I believe possibly also Sonic and All-Stars Racing Transformed, that you do need to avoid those little poker chips. So yeah, because that way it will able to actually just to spin you out if you somehow get hit by those poker chips. So even then I just want to point things out with certain hazards if you really can't afford able to get hit by them. So yeah, you get the drill for this point. So anyways, let's go ahead and keep this the orange wisp as it goes, and then hopefully we should be able to, well, somehow, unfortunately, I managed to accidentally aim it from the back, but I was expecting if I was gonna able to, hopefully, God forbid, trying to able to hit somebody, which is, to be more specifically, I don't know who is exactly behind me at the moment, so even then, it could be, well, independable, well, especially noticeable that, well, I don't know how do I truly explain about this right now, because again, not much else to talk about, well, apart from the fact that, well, until whenever I get back onto you know, Donkey Kong Jungle Beat, I will definitely talk about some more details onto that Let's Play, especially noticeable for the comparison between the GameCube version / the Wii version. So yeah, that'll be the definition of a much more happening, more likely than everything. So that makes it totally obvious for that specific discussion, especially noticeable with really looking forward to able to going back into that game again. As far as the actual Let's Play of it, as far as I'm aware. So, yeah, you get the idea for this point, so. Alright, so yet again, I'm gonna have to still save my Team Ultimate boost until whenever we get on to almost nearly towards the end. Actually, I might as well use that right now. So that way we could able to just speed along and stuff, and especially noticeable how the fact that we would be able to grab some more rings and stuff, so, yeah. Oh jeez, I might as well able to get, yeah, I just get lightning. Of course. I was able to actually save that up when that happened right there, but unfortunately I didn't get a chance to able to noticing this until just now. But anyway. Alright, so let's avoid those poker chips, even though the poker chips, whenever they seem to stack, they obviously do respawn every time whenever you get onto that specific stuff like this, so yeah, just gonna have to avoid them, so that's all you really have to do here, so no matter what though, I should probably I suppose I might as well let any other players to able to give away some items and stuff, so anyway, so yeah, so far so good. At least we're hoping we're not gonna mess things up completely, but let's see on the results screen. So we're at first, Omega was in, I've worth noticing that already. So, oh well, at least Omega did manage to came in second place at least, so, and also Rouge somehow got in 5th place. I was expecting if she was going to be able to be in 3rd place to able to catch up on more points and stuff, but sadly that's not the case, so screw you computer players, screw you, but I digress. So now we're done with here, from that point right there, and yeah.
With Metal Sonic in the mix, this race could get even more dangerous.
I don't like that mean robot.
He's just a fancy tin can. Nothing to worry about, Big.
Actually, he's slightly more dangerous than a tin can.
Well, he races like a tin can. Let's get back on the track.
Oh yeah, looks like Metal Sonic is now joining the actual race, isn't he? But of course we'll get into more details onto that though whenever we go back onto this game until, you know, until it gets to the point until November as I said before. So either way though, we're gonna have the endings up here. So join us next time for more of Let's Play of Team Sonic Racing. Is the fact that we're about to be, well, a muzzle should say, is the fact that we might able to conclude Chapter 4, but it wasn't until when that will happen, until as I said before, until November. So I'll see you guys on that month. Later fellas.